I want to show you how I usually practice ear training, voicings, and scales. And I'm going to be focusing on 2/5s in minor keys. So I'll choose a key, and usually I'd work on a key that's challenging. So let's say F sharp minor. So what's a 2/5 in the key of F sharp minor? It's G sharp minor 7 flat 5 to C sharp 7, resolving to F sharp minor 6. So if I play a G sharp minor 7 flat 5 down here, and I move these two notes up, I get a nice 1 flat 7 shell voicing on my left hand and B and D on the right hand. Or I could play also D and B. Now over a 2 minor 7 flat 5, you can play the Locrian scale. Remember that a G sharp Locrian is nothing more than an A major scale starting on G sharp. It's also useful to explore the notes around my voicings, like this. But we can also pair the 2 minor 7 flat 5 with the Locrian natural 9. And we just need to change the A natural from our Locrian scale with an A sharp. All right, let's move on and look at the 5/7 chord. So if I play the C sharp 7, using the same voicings that I was using for the G sharp minor 7 flat 5, I get this. Now on dominant chords, we're allowed to use lots of different tensions. So there's quite a few scales that we can pair with our C sharp 7 chord. The most inside scale is the Mixolydian flat 9 flat 13. This is because we're in a minor key. And remember that mixo flat 9 flat 13 is the 5th mode of harmonic minor. So C sharp Mixolydian flat 9 flat 13 is the same as the F sharp harmonic minor. This scale has the minor third skip between the flat 9 and the third. So get used to that sound. Remember, this exercise is also about ear training. Now, every time we have a 7 flat 9 chord, we can use the sharp 9 as well. On C sharp 7, the flat 9 is D, and the sharp 9 is E. So a good skill to practice is the Mixolydian flat 9, sharp 9, flat 13. And this is nothing more than a mixo flat 9 flat 13 with an added sharp 9. And think about the tensions that you're playing. D is the flat 9, E is the sharp 9, and A is the flat 13. And at this point, you can start considering voicings with the notes from this scale. For example, I can play this. I have the root D flat and the two guide tones, F and B, and then two tensions, the sharp 9, E, and the flat 13, A. Now, when you try voicings, remember that this is also about ear training. And one thing that you have to get used to is to not judge these voicings right away. Depending on your level of ear training, you might be hearing the color or the tendencies of these notes the wrong way. So don't reject some of these voicings right away. For example, this voicing that we just tried may sound wrong to you, but it's actually a great voicing. To really test this voicing, try it in context. Play the G sharp minor 7 flat 5 before it and resolve it to F sharp minor 6, for example, like this. See, in context, you start hearing note tendencies. Now, try moving the notes to different octaves. For example, what happens when I move this F an octave higher? What if I keep the F on the bass? Now I have a 4-note rootless voicing for C sharp 7 that I can try in every inversion. Let's try playing rootless voicings on the left hand and using the Locrian on the right hand for the G sharp minor 7 flat 5, and then target the sharp 9 on C sharp 7. And remember, we could also use the flat 9 instead of the sharp 9. As I've said so many times before, the 5 chord is all about tension. So it's also good to try 2 other modes that work great on dominant chords: the altered scale and the symmetric diminished, also known as the half-whole scale. So we're playing the mixo flat 9, flat 13, and then we also added the sharp 9. To get the altered scale, we can just think of replacing the 4 and the 5 with the sharp 4 like this. Remember, the altered scale is the 7th mode of melodic minor. So C sharp altered is the same as D melodic minor, just starting on C sharp. So now we have all altered tensions and no 5th. 1, flat 9, sharp 9, 3, sharp 11, flat 13, and flat 7. You can also see the sharp 11 as a flat 5. G is both the sharp 11 and the flat 5 of our chord. The other scale I like to practice is the symmetric diminished. And it's easy to get from the altered to the symmetric diminished by just splitting the flat 13 into the 5th and the 13th. So in C sharp, we turn A into A flat and B flat like this. Now we have an 8-note scale made out of half and whole steps. That's why the symmetric diminished is also known as the half-whole scale. The cool thing about this scale is that we still have the flat 9 and the sharp 9 and the sharp 11. And we've recovered the 5th, but now the 13th is natural. And now we have so many options when it comes to voicings. For example, with any of these scales, I get a G major triad inside of the C sharp 7. And this is the triad of the tritone sub. Remember, G7 is the tritone sub of C sharp 7. And remember, try this chord in context. Another voicing would be B flat over C sharp 7, because the symmetric diminished has a flat 9 and a natural 13. And the cool thing about having this B flat is that it's going to work really well even if the minor 2-5 resolves to a major chord. Finally, you can really take this practice session to the next level if you choose another 2-5 in minor to work with and combine both. A great 2-5 to practice is the next 2-5 around the circle of fifths. So G sharp minor 7 flat 5 to C sharp 7 turns into F sharp minor 7 flat 5 to B7. And now you can practice all these steps using consecutive 2-5s. For example, let's take our last voicings and apply them to the consecutive 2-5s like this. Thanks again for joining us today. As always, all of our members will receive a PDF that links to today's video. You can also join us right here on YouTube or visit mdex.com for access to this and all of our amazing PDFs. We'll catch you next time.